Today we're going to talk about some of the challenges with arranging mortgage financing on mixed-use property. That is, for instance, stores and apartments. Um, One of the bigger challenges is that a lot of people, especially people that maybe they own one property, start off trying to get a mortgage through a residential lender on a mixed-use property. If there's a commercial component, if there's a commercial type zoning on the property, it will have to be a commercial mortgage. Most of these stores and apartments are, they're partially commercial and partially residential, but you could really only get a mortgage through a commercial lender. So that's the first challenge. And of course, it would be advantageous to get them done through residential because the commercial rates are probably as much as a half or 1 point higher, even with the A-type lenders. So another challenge would be, when we talk about A-type lenders, of course, everybody would like to get their mortgage done with an A lender who's going to have the best rates. Banks and larger lenders, A-type lenders, the mixed-use properties are not really something that they do a lot of lending on. The A banks like to lend on larger properties. They like to stick to just commercial type things. An example of a mixed-use property would be let's say something downtown where you might have on the main floor a variety store and upstairs is an apartment. Well, a couple of things. One, that tends to be, a smaller value and a smaller mortgage for an A-type lender. So when you go to an A lender or a bank, their process is pretty much the same. They treat a commercial deal whether they're looking at a $300,000 mortgage or whether they're looking at a $3 million mortgage. The process is basically the same, so it takes a long time to get a commitment. Most of them will start off with a quick letter of intent, but it takes a long time to go through the process, and it could be 2 to 3 months before you even have an answer whether they're prepared to lend. And I would say quite often on the lower value, the older type mixed-use properties, banks tend not to do those deals. So as an owner who needs to find out or arrange a mortgage, waiting 3 months to get what, probably, a mortgage broker that does a lot of commercial lending would probably have a good idea already, just looking at the type of, property and the application, whether a bank is going to, do it, and it would be done more as an exception, not as a rule. Another challenge would be with the leases. When we talk about commercial lending, leases are very important. Who are the tenants in a property? What is the cash flow? Who's paying the expenses? Well, the mixed-use properties, usually you find that, on the main floor, it's some type of a local business. Quite often it could just be, a mom-and-pop type store. And that's what the lenders call them, mom-and-pop. So, again, maybe like a small variety store. So when a commercial lender is looking at the strength of a lease, you probably have somebody where they run the business. Quite often they run the business, I'm not saying they run it not the right way, but quite often it's less formal. You're not operating like a public company where you're doing audited financial statements. They're doing their own type of financial statements. And then upstairs you have an apartment. Now, what also by mixed use, you end up having mixed type income. So on the main floor, even if you have a tenant and you're not using it yourself, the tenant on the main floor might be paying a portion of the expenses. Quite often upstairs you have a residential tenant that is paying a gross rent. So there are a number of things where, again, going back to if you can get it done at an A bank, A lenders, they're not really that comfortable with things like that, where even the leases and things are, they're different and they're a little bit fuzzy, and maybe the financials are not so strong. If you need more information, give me a call or send me an email. Your call is important to me, and I will call you back. I look forward to speaking with you. Take care.